Everybody, and welcome to a video. I know it's been quite a while since I've made a video, but as I said a long time ago, I'm not going to make videos or write papers just for something to do to keep people interested. I'm going to do video or paper if I feel the information I've received is worthwhile and may be able to help somebody on their spiritual journey. What I want to talk about today is the coronavirus, but more importantly, the different causes that are out there that are being presented as reasons as to why it's there, what it is, and then I want to let you know as to why there are so many different causes that are being projected forward as to what the coronavirus is and why it's out there. Start off with, I've seen some videos from doctors who showed, and he said he had some evidence, and he showed some paperwork on his video, that the coronavirus was created by human scientists in 2015 over there in Wuhan. What they were trying to do is they were trying to see if they could get the coronavirus in bats to come into humans. Unfortunately, it didn't work. So what they had to do is they had to modify the virus that was in the bats and then move it and then so that it would adapt into humans. And apparently they were successfully said in 2015. It was after that, either this virus was at some point released intentionally or accidentally, that has caused the what we consider the worldwide virus pandemic that they talk about now. There's another doctor who has talked about the idea that the virus in fact does not exist, that there are 4 steps that they go through when they come up with some kind of a virus or infection, and I can't remember exactly what all the steps were, but he said there are 4 steps. It has to do with, let me give you an example of somebody with, say, strep throat. They will take a sample of the person's throat, they will grow it in a petri dish, they will then isolate and purify the virus that they grow in the petri dish, and then they can use that virus to give to a person who is not infected, and that way you can see whether the person is infected, then you'll know in fact that you have a virus that is there and is going to infect people who didn't have it before. He's saying that those steps were never taken when it came to this coronavirus. And actually, if you go to my Facebook page, I put a video on there. I think it was one of the ones from David Icke type videos that we were talking about. This doctor was on there talking about it, and that they've never gone through these 4 steps to verify the fact that there was a virus. And his claim is that they had a problem over there, and they tested, but it has nothing to do with the virus. They developed a test to come up with whatever it was these people had. And if you go into some of David Icke's stuff, he talks about what it is, and I can't remember what the term he used now, but it's something that occurs in people from different causes. It has nothing to do with the virus. It's a natural occurring thing and a non-natural occurring thing. Of course, he relates it to the 5G and others, but apparently they developed this test that detects whatever this enzyme is or particles within inside the human body that a lot of people have, and it actually has nothing to do with the virus. And that's why he's saying that this virus in fact does not exist. It's simply a test that was created for something in order to cover what it is was really going on there. And you have others like David Icke who are going with what we would call a conspiracy theory, although there's a lot of truth in what he's talking about, in that there is in fact no virus, that this whole paradigm was created in order to take away, see how many freedoms and rights people are willing to give up. And he talks about the idea that 6 weeks before the coronavirus supposedly came on the scene, that Bill Gates and others from their vaccination societies ran a simulation of a pandemic covering exactly what happened afterwards. And the things that they found out in the tests that they were running, their simulation, actually is what is going on now, how people are going to react, what they were going to do. And that's the purpose of it. It has to do with taking away the rights and freedoms of people, see how willing they are to do it by creating a bunch of fear. And then you get into the idea that creating a vaccine, which is basically a way of infecting everybody with whatever they want, and the idea of putting in some tracking chips and those kind of things. So he's taking it from that kind of a standpoint that it was all going on behind the scenes, and that in fact the virus doesn't exist. Then you can look at the concept of the Kabbalists. Their concept of this is that the virus in and itself does not exist, that this is a program, basically a vibration that has come out because of how humanity has treated nature and each other. Basically we have polluted and destroyed our world as much as we can because we don't care. We've gone to the consumption, the consumerism, throwaway society, and how we treat each other is almost the same way. And that this virus is in fact nature, or what they call the creator, giving man an opportunity to realize that they are all connected. When you see how fast this virus has spread around the world, and it's gotten to places where people don't even really normally travel to, you can understand that everybody has the virus, everyone is connected together. So what happens to one happens to the other. And the big spiritual picture is that it's trying to teach humanity that we are connected, and that in order to resolve this virus, we have to learn to love each other, we have to learn to work together, and to become more as a one society. And that once we do that, the virus will go away, because there's no longer a need for this program, basically a vibrational program. And in fact, if mankind does not learn their lesson after this, that you will get another virus somewhere down the road that's going to be even worse because man hasn't learned their lesson. So what you're looking at is a variety of causes and reasons, and all of them have some validity behind what it is they're saying. I think probably the Kabbalistic standpoint is a little bit more accurate than some of the others as far as overall, but in my personal opinion. And the reason the reason I made this video, and the reason that we have so many options, is what I've come to realize is that we are starting to see what I would call reality lines. They're not timelines, but they are reality lines. You could call them possibilities. We are seeing, which is probably four distinct yet somewhat separated and connected, and they're somewhat connected on some levels, scenarios. In other words, possibilities of how this virus could play out. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on how each of those scenarios would play out, what it would really mean, but I think what's happening is one of the things that we talked about a long time ago in some of the videos, is that at some point I anticipated we would be able to see multiple possibilities, multiple reality lines down the road, and we would be able to make a choice as to which of those we were going to go down. I anticipated that we might get a little bit more detail to see where each of those possibilities would lead to, how it would play out. And in fact, if you wanted to think about the scenarios that I've given you, you could really play those out in your mind and get a rough idea as to where each of those would lead to. But the whole point of this is that what you're seeing before us are, because you have so many different causes or overviews of why the virus and what it is because we are seeing possibilities of where we as a humanity, where we could go. And it is now up to us to make what people call a conscious choice, an awareness of which of those lines, which of those possibilities, which of those reality lines we want our future to follow. And whether each of us has an individual choice, and whether we will go off on those reality lines ourselves, or whether it will end up developing into an alternate timeline, which I think down the road is the final thing. We are moving to another timeline. It's a matter of how we're going to get there and what possibility line we're going to play out with it. As I said a long time ago in some of the other videos, that we're moving from what would be the transhumanism timeline to a more spiritual timeline, which would be more in line with what the Kabbalist content of what they're referring to this pandemic and what's going on with it. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on with it, and think about the possibilities, the things that I've mentioned, those timelines, how they would play out, or those reality lines, not timelines, reality lines, and how they would play out in your mind, and make the conscious choices of which one you would like to go on. And personally, I would like to take the one more from the Kabbalistic, the spiritual standpoint, in that this is a lesson for humanity, teaching us that we are all connected, and that in order to move forward, we need to move forward together as a group, and that the only way we can do that is connect with each other. And it's not just a love and hand holding hand and standing around, that kind of thing, but it's an actual connecting with each other and realizing that we need each other in order to move forward as a species in order to develop. So I'd much rather follow the spiritual timeline, which the spiritual reality possibility line, which would move into that other timeline in the more spiritual timeline versus the transhumanism. I think the other three who are moving towards that, more of the transhumanism, to where you're going to get the chipping and the one world new world order, and each of those has a different possibility, as I talked about in the very beginning, whether the virus exists or not exist, and so on. But anyway, play those out in your mind and make yourself a choice. Where do you want your future to be? What do you want it to be? And maybe we get enough people focusing on the right direction, we'll be able to make that change, and one of these days we'll wake up and we'll be there. Or whether we'll shift there, don't know. But we have a choice at this point. We are seeing those reality lines of possibilities. It's now time for us to make a choice. Thank you, Ronald.